Death Stranding was a groundbreaking video game developed by Hideo Kojima and released in 2019. It stands out as a unique and thought-provoking experience in the gaming industry, combined with its stunning visuals and intricate storyline. Along with the innovative gameplay mechanics, the game takes players on a surreal journey through this post-apocalyptic world, and basically that's what we'll cover today. I'll be breaking down everything we know about Death Stranding 2, when the game will be released as well as its platforms, and everything you'll need to look for the future of the Death Stranding series. So before we get into the video, guys, if you could drop a like on this video, subscribe with your notifications turned on so you never miss a future upload. So now let me take you back to the future America, devastated by some mysterious events known as the Death Stranding. So the game follows a character known as Sam Porter Bridges, that, as we all know, is portrayed by Norman Reedus. Sam is a courier tasked with reconnecting isolated communities and rebuilding the fractured society. The game's narrative explores the themes of life, death, connection, and the consequences of human actions. The game captures the solitude of its protagonist, being played by Norman Reedus or Sam Bridges, while you're traversing through the vast landscapes and facing the environmental hazards. Now, talking about a deep dive in one of the most distinctive features of Death Stranding, that would be its innovative gameplay mechanics. The game introduces a novel concept called the Strand genre, emphasizing the importance of connection. Players will navigate the treacherous landscapes, delivering supplies to the isolated outposts, as well as connecting with the various elements of the game world. The use of the very unique inventory management system is by far the most complex I've seen in a lot of games. From the traversal tools like the ladders and the ropes, it definitely adds a very unique complexity to the gameplay. Death Stranding delves into the philosophical and the existential themes, just the way Hideo Kojima weaves the complex narrative that explores the nature of life and death, the consequences of technology. The game encourages players to reflect on their own connections with others and the world around them. But all in all, Death Stranding is a groundbreaking video game that pushes the boundaries from its storytelling and the gameplay. The emphasis on the connection, exploration of isolation, and the thought-provoking narrative. So the overarching goal in Death Stranding is a very unique blend in a video game that we might not see ever being developed of this nature, unless you have the one and only Hideo Kojima at the helm. So now that I've set the stage of what Death Stranding is, now let's talk about Death Stranding 2. Like all Hideo Kojima games, Death Stranding has found its community, and it is adored by over 16 million players. And that, I might add, all of them have their sights set on Death Stranding 2 or DS2. Ever since the very iconic announcement at the Game Awards 2022, fans of the series have been going absolutely insane, and by far Death Stranding 2 is among one of the most anticipated upcoming games. And it is worth noting, as of the making of this video, Death Stranding 2 still does not have an official release date, but we do have some news coming from Hideo Kojima himself. So as many of you guys know, it is the beginning of 2024, and Hideo Kojima tweeted out his Happy New Year's, as well as some of his goals in the games that he'll be working on and developing. So the tweet starts off by saying, "Happy New Year's, 2024 is the year of the dragon. So I asked Yoji and Ryu to design a Ryu dragon for us." And then he also dropped some images in the tweet, and the tweet goes on to say that this year will be another year of simultaneous production of DS2 or Death Stranding 2, as well as OD, the game with Xbox Game Studios. It goes on to say that DS2 still has some ADR left, and we will start recording Japanese voiceovers. I really want to concentrate on creating games, so I would like to limit my business trips, but I can't do anything because I have to shoot for OD, make DS into a movie, which I'm guessing he's talking about making Death Stranding into a movie, and I have to work on other video projects in addition to the production. I'm also planning to add another writing series, not only for Anan, but also for other projects. We are also planning to run a special program on HideTube, which we have been neglecting. We may also have to revive the Hide Radio in the future, but I hope you enjoy the year of the dragon. Thank you again for your support this year. So from the looks of this tweet, it looks like Hideo Kojima is on full focus on the production as well as the development of mini games, but Death Stranding 2 this year for him is getting a lot of focus. So wrapping back around, like I said previously, there is not an official release date for Death Stranding 2, but it does seem like, according to one of the game's artists, Death Stranding 2 could launch in 2025. And like I said, this leak actually comes from the artist's online portfolio, where they do list that Death Stranding 2 is one of the many projects they've worked on. Now, depending on when in 2025 it launches, this could put the gap between the sequel at 6 years. So Death Stranding 2 would have certainly a very, very lengthy development cycle. And like I said, with no official announcement, it does seem that Kojima Productions has still yet to respond to the potential leak, but it's not clear if if the 2025 release window is actually accurate, but it is worth noting and something that we definitely need to keep a lookout for. But right now, the information that we know so far is Death Stranding is coming out in 2025. So now that we've covered the potential release date and the leak that came out, now I wanted to touch on what platforms Death Stranding will actually be released on. I actually wanted to touch on a few things that's in this article. This article comes from insidergaming.com. They're basically talking about the platforms it'll be released on, as well as do you need to play Death Stranding 1 before you play Death Stranding 2, and also the story of Death Stranding 2 and what it could be about. So they start off the article by saying what platforms will Death Stranding 2 be released on, and they say that Death Stranding 2 will be a PlayStation 5 exclusive. Sony commissioned the franchise, so as far as the platforms are concerned, PlayStation 5 is your only shot at playing the game at launch. Now, having said that, it will likely arrive on the PC a year or two later after release, since that's what happened with the predecessor being Death Stranding 1. So yes, it does look like Death Stranding will yet again be a PlayStation 5 and a PlayStation exclusive, but could come to the PC in the later life cycle. They then go on to say, do you need to play Death Stranding 1 before Death Stranding 2 is released? And they say, well, this is the question of personal preference. Death Stranding has one of the greatest video game stories ever. Not playing it beforehand might get you confused and feel disconnected from the characters in the second part. They then go on to say that Kojima Productions will definitely direct Death Stranding 2 in a way that's welcoming to the both newcomers as well as the old players. However, the first game story is infamous for being complicated, and after 100+ hours, I can truthfully say folks weren't lying. I couldn't imagine how difficult it could be for new players to grasp the plot midway without any context. So if you really want to enjoy the sequel, I'd highly recommend you play Death Stranding 1 before you go on to play the sequel Death Stranding 2. And I will say that if you do decide to jump into Death Stranding, by far the game is very complex and very open-ended. It's a very fun experience, and the open world vibe is awesome. And Norman Reedus knocked his role completely out of the park. So last but not least, they touched on what will Death Stranding 2 story be about. They go on to say that after watching the trailer, you'll see that Death Stranding 2 is set some years after the events of the first game. Lou has grown up a bit, and somehow the fragile scars from the time fall have healed. So something big happens right after Death Stranding 1 ends, which we are yet to still see. The teaser implied that Lou might have been kidnapped, and Fragile and Sam are preparing to rescue her. They end it with, at least that's my interpretation. But as you guys know, the teaser for Death Stranding 2 was revealed in 2022, and it really doesn't have much to say about the story, but we all can clearly see that Sam, Fragile, and Higgs are back. And I guess I can end off their article where they're talking about will Death Stranding be on PlayStation Plus and the Xbox Game Pass. They say that Death Stranding 2 should make its way over to PlayStation Plus a few years after its launch. That's usually what tends to happen with the older PlayStation exclusives, as you can see with God of War and Days Gone. Now, as for DS2 on Game Pass, that might happen for the PC version once it's ported over, but for Xbox Game Pass, that's totally out of the question. Instead, it does look like Kojima Productions, the project known as OD, will now be the Xbox exclusive title. So the outlook for Death Stranding 2 looks very promising. The anticipation and hype for this game is insane, and for the fans of the series like myself, we all just can't wait to get any more new information released about Death Stranding 2. But I guess time will tell if Hideo Kojima actually drops another reveal this year. But that's everything I've got for you guys today. Let me know in the comment section below if you're excited for Death Stranding 2. Also, drop a like on this video, subscribe with your notifications turned on so you don't miss out on any future uploads. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This has been Zach. I'll catch you in the next one.